There's a game in the Elder Scrolls series that has been recommended to me like crazy, and I finally played for the very first time. The cancelled game, The Elder Scrolls Travels: Oblivion, that was supposed to be on the PSP and only has a few playable beta versions online. Okay, I'm kidding. It's Morrowind. I'm only about 22 years late, but hey, that's alright. Better late than never, right? Today, we will be discussing the user interface of the iconic game, The Elder Scrolls III: Morrowind. In my last video, thank you guys so much for all the love by the way, I mainly focused on the design of Oblivion's user interface. For Morrowind, I want to dive a little deeper and discuss the UI's design and functionality. And of course, we'll talk about the art again like last time. So enough yapping, let's explore the user interface and art of Morrowind. Right off the bat, as I loaded up Morrowind and saw this awesome loading screen, I could already tell that there was some cool-ass artwork and scrumptious UI design in this game.
Someone cooked here.
The loading screens and main menu have that scroll paper background, which is a great touch, and the Morrowind logo has these sketched lines behind it, which I know might be a minor detail, but I really like it. The user interface of Morrowind uses a completely different color palette than what we would see a few years later with Oblivion, lots of black and gold. It's a very nice color combination, very regal, and quite fitting for the game. The heads-up display shows your character's health, magicka, and stamina levels, as well as any weapons and spells you have equipped on the bottom left side of your screen. To the right, you see the active effects your character has and a minimap. Viewing your character's stats, inventory, map, and magic are simply referred to as menus, and each menu appears like tabs or windows on a computer that you can rearrange and resize to your liking. You can even pin one of these menus to your screen while playing as well. Each item in the game has a photo of the object, and each attribute, skill, spell, effect, and location has icons as well. And you can see your character off to the side in the stats menu. Very cool. The game manual for Morrowind also follows the same color scheme and design, except for using more white text. Now, I am a fan of the aesthetics, but how about the functionality? Well, I think the menus are a little bit complicated, especially for newbies like myself, and navigating through them was a little confusing at first. Morrowind, along with the earlier games in the series, took heavy inspiration from tabletop RPGs. This inspiration is clear to see in the gameplay, like with the combat system, and the menus, which are very reminiscent of tabletop RPG character sheets. Once I found a good layout for my menus and played more of the game in general, I got used to them pretty quick. You actually don't view your quests through these menus, you instead use a journal. Your journal in Morrowind is how you access your quests and read about topics you learn from other characters. As I'm sure most of you know, this game is very text-heavy, and you can ask any NPC about different topics, like locations, factions, and other characters. Luckily, each time you learn new information about a topic, it's logged in your journal so you can refer back to it when needed. The journal is also where you can find information about your current quests. There's usually a blurb of text for each quest, providing the player with basic information on where to go and what to do. These journal entries on quests and topics are from the Nerevarine's perspective, which makes sense since, it's their journal. Since asking around for information is so encouraged in Morrowind, it's useful that the journal keeps track of what the player knows about different topics, in case they need to look something up or just for some good old lore. In your journal, and when speaking with NPCs, there are hyperlinks for different topics, locations, and characters, which makes it very easy to find the information you need. The journal has a nice design, using the same fantasy font seen throughout the game, and the old and worn-looking pages. Now let's talk about the art of this game, which is an important factor of UI design. Each loading screen goes hard as hell and has amazing artwork, showing creatures you can encounter throughout the game, like Bone Lords, Silt Striders, and Clan Fears. Oh god, not these guys again. In the PC version of Morrowind, you see these loading screens with cool photos of creatures on them, But with the Xbox version, you get even more loading screens, and each of them gives hints to the player. At the beginning of the game, when you select your class and birth sign, we see images for each one. The birth signs are a little hard to see, but look fantastic, and I love the use of the constellations. The images for each class depict different items and weapons related to the class. This is a nice touch, and I think these provide good visuals for the attributes and skills each class specializes in. You can also see art in different places across Vardenfell, like on shrines, banners, and signs. The Art of Morrowind is a book that's filled with both concept and final images made for the game. The pictures in this book are spectacular, and I highly recommend checking it out if you're a fan. And a quick side note, not related to the UI necessarily, but I love the sound design, especially the nice, crisp sound of flipping a page in your journal, and the sound that plays when you level up your skills. All in all, I'd say I'm definitely a fan of the user interface and art design of Morrowind. The black and gold color scheme, along with the high fantasy aesthetics and fantastic artwork seen around Vardenfell, does an excellent job of immersing the player into the alien, eerie, and interesting province of Morrowind. The menus and the journal took some getting used to, but after playing for a while, I'm definitely on board. And I gotta admit, I kinda had fun rearranging my menus. At the time of me posting this video, I'm still making my way through Morrowind, but I have really enjoyed the game thus far.
Fast as fuck, boy.
I will admit that my little sky zoomer brain had a hard time navigating without having quest markers and fast traveling. And having no guarantee of my attacks even doing damage definitely threw me for a loop. On the bright side, not having quest markers forced me to explore the world on my own and find my own paths. I'm sure they exist, but I have personally never seen a game with such an alien world like Morrowind. And I mean this in the best way possible because the map is really, really cool. I truly felt like an outsider, especially when I first left the ship and looked over to see a silt strider looming off in the distance. There are so many dubious creatures in Morrowind, and such a cool world to explore. There's lots of interesting quests, storylines, and a lot of, colorful NPCs. Oh, and lots of racism.
Today's subject is slavery.
If you haven't already, I highly recommend giving Morrowind a try. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Also, I have no clue how this happened, and maybe it's a weird bug, which unfortunately isn't new for Bethesda. More like Bug-thesda, am I right?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Well anyways, when I opened the game one time, I guess it opened one of my files because I didn't have any tabs open that was playing music. And this happened. Yes, that actually happened, and no, I'm not messing with you. Okay, bye.